And now my visit with the stars of Legally Blonde the musical. First, Becky Gulsvig.
So, Becky, you're here in Denver with Legally Blonde, and you've been doing this show for quite some time. How did this part come to you?
Well, I've been involved with Legally Blonde since the spring of 2006, since the original workshop before the Broadway run, and then I was in the Broadway original cast, and I was the understudy. So I did that for a year and a half, and I put my interests out there, and I said, I would love to go on tour, and actually I'd hoped for it since the workshop, because I wanted to sort of, you kind of get a fresh start, and you get to have your own company, and I really wanted to go on a first national tour. I'd never been on a first national tour. I did a bus and truck when I was 18, but it was short and crazy and very different. So, and luckily they trusted me with this part, and so I've been really having a good time.
Well, you suit it perfectly, I should say, because I've gotten to see you 3 times, actually. And I wanted to find out, what does it feel like for you to be on this first national tour, having the weight of such an iconic show that people are really devoted to on your shoulders? How does that feel?
It's fun. I mean, I guess I could see it as a negative thing or as something to overcome, but I think of it as something that helps me, because I feel like we've already won half the battle, because most of the people come to the theater having loved the movie and they want to love the show. And some come with their arms crossed saying, prove it, it's Legally Blonde, make me like it. But we always do. That's the beauty of the show, is that people that come that have never been to a musical, or the boys that think, it's too much pink, they all have a good time, because there's something in the show for everyone, and it is smart, it is witty, it's fun, it has a lot of heart, but you laugh your head off.
And the structure is like a traditional musical, so it really functions on that level.
It does. It's really well put together, and it flies. There's not a point where you fall asleep. And, for some musicals you go to, and there's great parts, and then, okay, that was not so great,
break.
And here we go. Yeah, exactly. But this one is like a machine, and it just flies by, and you just have such a good time, but you take something away from it.
Well, I'm certain after doing it for so long, it might feel like a machine, but that doesn't come through. We don't see that at all. It's fresh every single time. How do you do that?
It's a challenge. After being involved with the show for so long, that's something that I didn't know would come up. I didn't realize it would be that hard. And, you have your peaks and valleys of, sometimes depending on where you are, or how tired you are, or how hurt you are, it's just a daily negotiation to find something to inspire you and to really just try to make it fresh for that audience and to realize how important that is.
There's a large number of the audience that are really young, so this is their first exposure to musical theater. What was your first exposure to musical theater? What's the first show you remember?
Oh, the first show. Well, I grew up watching the musical movies. I'm a huge Julie Andrews fan. She's it for me. Mary Poppins, Sound of Music. Grew up watching Annie. Annie was my first musical that I did in 4th grade.
Wow.
So that, I guess, was my first, full-on experience. But as far as seeing a show, we did go and see, I grew up in Minnesota, and we saw the tours that came through. We saw Cats when it came through. We saw Beauty and the Beast, Jekyll and Hyde. So those were fun and exciting to, sort of like touch it and go, oh, it's out there. It's coming to us, and it's closer, and it's real. And then my first Broadway show I saw Cats and Phantom with my high school when we went. So I don't remember which was first, but those are my, good staples.
Well, knowing that you're that person for lots of young people who are coming to see this play, how does that feel to you?
That has sort of been a new realization. I hadn't really thought of it that way. I mean, there's so many ways to think of how we do what we do, and it's sometimes easy to get trapped in this is my job and I have to do it, and I'm doing it this many times and I've got this much left, and it's been a new challenge for me to realize that I have to represent a certain part of what is sitting in the audience.
Because you're Julie Andrews to some degree.
Exactly, which is sort of weird and freaky to me, because I don't think I'm that important, but to some people I might be. And so you sort of have to think of it a little bit that way, but not too much, because, you still have to live your life and do it for you, and, inspire yourself. Otherwise you can't inspire others. But it's flattering.
Well, we enjoyed your opening night here, and I know you only have 2 weeks while you're here. Are you going to get to enjoy any of Colorado while you're here?
Well, we did go to Winter Park last week, and we skied a bit, carefully.
Yes, you've had that experience already.
Yeah, well, I broke my toe walking down the stairs, so I figure I can go skiing.
You have to come up with a better story.
It's so lame. I know. Everyone's like, be careful. I'm like, well, you can get hurt doing anything, and clearly I did. So I'll just be careful. But But it was beautiful up there, and we may go back out to the mountains on the day off. But just sort of bopping around downtown, it's nice here. I like it.
Well, we're delighted to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.